I'm Sierra, and I'm a student at Jean Augustine Secondary School, and I did my co-op here at Trotec. One of my projects here was to do LED acrylic lamps. To start with, I kind of saw like these lamps like on Instagram or something, and then I found them really cool, and like I wanted to like retry and like recreate them. So I started doing some like sketches based on that, and then I had an idea of like this fishbowl. I thought would be like very cool. So I started with just kind of making some ideation sketches and just kind of planning out like what I might want it to be and just like what I want in it. So then I started did some research and stuff to gather some images to have an idea. Later on I just started making those layers. I did it first with like a paper just to like see how it looks and if I like it or like if I want to improve something in it. And that's how I started making my AI files, because I find that very useful, because like once I have like an actual paper cutout, then I know like, oh, you know, I want this to cut out, I want this to engrave. And then once I made the files, we kind of tried like printing them like a couple of times and like fixed it over time, like if something was like falling out or like, you know, it didn't go right the first time. And then later we did like a final cut with the actual acrylic, and we just kind of put them together, including like we would put one layer and then put a spacer behind it, and like that's how we put like all the layers, like the main ones. And then for the back where I was going to put the light, we just kind of did like black spacers to make sure like the light doesn't get through, and added a backboard. We also UV printed like this background like in the middle-ish to kind of have that effect of like corals and like the water, and like to enhance that we just put the light on the back, so there's a light in the back. What I like about laser technology is that like it's very quick and precise, and you can do so much with it, right? And like it's not just one material that you can cut or engrave. Like there's multiple. Like you can do acrylics or wood or like, you know, like cardstocks, and like there's a lot you can do with it. So I really find that really interesting. Also like how detailed it can really be, and how much detail you can put into one project, and like how you can build that up, and just how easy even it is to operate. I think like the laser itself is like really cool to work with. It's like super easy to like learn, and like because I learned it in about a week, to like how to use the programs and like how to like make the files and everything, like with a little bit of help, but also like how detailed it is, which is like really cool because they're very small, and like the laser actually got it pretty nicely and better than I expected. The other project that I did here was this layered painting. So this is the same concept as the fishbowl that I did, except this one's kind of layered on, where the fishbowl was kind of like going inwards. This is more like it's kind of coming outwards. And then the inspiration was like, it's basically just like a bird sitting on a branch with like flowers around it, and it's just a bunch of smaller pieces kind of glued on together to create this work. For this project as well, I started with some sketches and like some ideas. Then I kind of started doing with like different colors instead of just kind of keeping it plain. So I figured like paper would be the best, and just working with I decided on different colors that I want, on like the backgrounds and everything. And then I started with painting the canvas. Later on I did all the pieces that are glued on. So like with the bird, I drawed out the bird first, and then kind of drew in like the different feathers and stuff, and then later on made the illustrator file. Same as like the fishbowl, I did like a sample out of paper just to have an idea of like how the pieces would fit together, and like just like the placement of everything. Then we did like a test run, just fixed whatever needed to be fixed with that specific one, and then we did the final product. And then later on we just kind of glued on each piece. So with the bird you just kind of layer it on, and same with the flowers, like we did with different colors and like different styles. So you just like glue it on as you go, and then you glue it on to the canvas. So for the bird, I used laser cutting on Bristol board paper, and for the branches and like the tree, I used Trotec wood paper. For the flowers and the butterflies, I've used a Trotec colored paper. What I really like about the paper is that it's really thick. You can do very detailed engraving without burning the paper, as well as you can go very detailed and like it shows up very well. I've also used Trotec Laser lights for some of the metallic butterflies. I wanted the butterflies to pop with a more metallic finish. I'm thinking of going into industrial designing, and I think the laser technology would be like really helpful and really cool to work with, because like you can create actual products and like prototypes using the laser without spending like 2 or 3 days waiting for the 3D printer to actually make them. So I liked my co-op here because like I got to work with an industrial designer here, which was really interesting and very helpful because I got to learn about different materials and like how you can use them with the laser and like really how broad you can go with the laser.